Sean Patrick Flanery is an American actor. He is known for playing Connor in the Boondock Saints and its sequel, The Boondock Saints II, All Saints' Day. It appears that a Boondock Saints III is in pre-production. He played Greg Stillson in the television series, The Dead Zone, Jeremy Powder, Reed in the movie Powder, Indiana Jones in the George Lucas television series, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, as well as Bobby Dagen in Saw, The Final Chapter. He is also known for his role as Sam Gibson on the CBS soap opera The Young and The Restless in 2011. He starred in Devil's Carnival, a short film which was screened on tour beginning in April 2012. In 2016, he published his first novel, Jane 2, a coming-of-age story drawing inspiration from his own childhood and early experiences. Off camera, Flanery is a high-ranking martial artist, having earned his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from the Renzo Gracie lineage on May 4th of 2008. Recent movies that he has starred in are Nefarious, Born a Champion, and he played the character in the hit television show The Boys.
Sean Patrick Flanery. We talked to Sean before, and I'm really just happy he's on again because he does a lot of great stuff that I love. I think a lot of us love just the way he honors our community, the way he honors martial arts, something he even honors himself in a great way with what he puts out. His messaging is very positive. It's very humble. It's very grounded, and it's something that I respect a lot. So, Sean, what's up, man?
I appreciate the kind words, brother. I'm here at my house. In about 2 hours, I bring the boys to swim team practice with the wife.
Right.
It's cloudless today, blue sky in Texas.
Nice, man. Yeah, life is good. So, dude, I want to talk to you about a couple things. But first off, how's the reception with Born a Champion been? I mean, I have my own opinion. It is an awesome movie, and I'm seeing all this hearing all this chatter about just how it honors and respects jiu-jitsu, unlike the movie Red Belt or some, it just only touches on it. This is a real jiu-jitsu movie, but how's the reception been post-release? How's that been for you, man?
In a word, flattering, but that needs a string of adjectives prior to it. It's weird. In my industry, platitudes are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell when people are being authentic. There's been a few things in my life where people take an inordinate amount of time to talk about something, and it's coming from a real place. When somebody says, "Hey, I saw that movie you did. That was cool. So anyway, where we're going to eat?" You realize that's it's something that they have to say. But there's been, I did a movie back in the 90s called Powder, and that was the first movie I ever did where people would, when they found out that was me, they wanted to talk for 30 minutes about it. And you realize this is different than the compliment I got for the last film, where a lot of the same words were used, but the intonation, the time, the pathos behind the eyes on their delivery was completely different. And, out of a career of 30 years, I've only gotten a handful of those, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that was one. Powder was one. My book was another one when that came out. And now Born a Champion, so it's incredibly flattering. And I could be wrong, but I really get the feeling that people mean it. Even Instagram messages. I get people that didn't even follow me. And they send me a message saying, "I don't know if you'll ever see this, but it's 1,000 words or something." It's just like, block after block, like when Instagram stops you from typing characters. So they type another block and another block. And I don't receive that. In 30 years in this business, I just don't receive that kind of word count. And the same thing happened with my book on Amazon. And I was contacted by some people that kind of educated me on how the rating system works, and it's one thing to get 5-star ratings, and it's another thing to get, north of 90% of your 5-star reviews having, multiple hundreds of words talking about it. It's just gives it a different degree of authenticity. And, like I said, I could be wrong, but it has a definite, that type of compliment has a definite signature to it. And I always thought I was lucky to have ever even felt it once, much less, 3 times. So it's special, man. It's special. Certainly.
No, I think, dude, I think you hit on all the different heads, man, which is you're honoring, this love of yours. Really, I think it comes out, in the script, it comes out in your acting. It comes out obviously in the fighting. You're showing real jujitsu. It's not this fancy polished thing where, some movies are so kinetic, like Batman. I mean, it was so messy. I was like, where's the action? I can't even see what's going on here. But yours, it's fluid, it's dirty, but at the same time, it's good. And then you're honoring the military, you're honoring family, which is powerful because you're a guy who really is a practitioner. You see a lot of actors who are learning, well, whatever it may be. They're learning, martial arts or stunts for that movie, and then they go on. They don't even think about it. They're lifting weights, like, I don't know, Thor or something like that for that movie. And then it's not really part of the lifestyle. Well, for him, it is. It's part of his lifestyle, surfing, etc. And so you're living it, man, which is so fascinating to a lot of us because you're an actor. When I put down the meme and I tagged you, I said father, actor, writer, whatever, but it was martial artist in big letters there. But, of course, you're a father first. But martial arts, I think, to me, if I'm wrong, is more important to you than acting or anything, or what?
Yeah, and I say that, with the reservation that industry people will hear that and go, oh, okay, well, then forget you,
Right.
Because certainly, a part of me does understand the economics of the world. And martial arts doesn't put the kind of food on my plate that I want to feed my kids, at least that level. I want more than 3 square meals a day, so I'm very grateful to be employed in the film business. But where my heart is, brother, 90% of it's on the martial arts mat. And there's 10 left over for my own industry. And I say that with all the love in the world because I do enjoy my industry. But it would destroy me to take that away from me. It honestly would. You look at IMDb is a website where if you go to somebody's IMDb page, it'll tell you every film that they've ever done. Probably outside of maybe 10, and I think there's 150 listed, probably more of that I've done. But probably outside of 10, if you took them away, and even the relationships and everything else, I wouldn't miss a beat. If you took martial arts away from me, it would honestly destroy me. It's that big a part of my life. It's I trained the last 3 days before I've had a day off. It's my kids too. We had 3 kids classes, 3 adults classes, and it's just that big of a part of my life. It's my church. It's my therapy. It's my sanctuary. It's the daily test that I have to answer to. It's my alarm clock, and it does have a snooze button, one that I refuse to press. But you come up, especially as a dad, and you think, how am I going to prepare my child for, the very specific difficulties? Well, why don't you start off with just difficulties? When people say, life is a fight. How do I prepare my child for the fight? Well, how about by fighting? How about by going directly to the root of it? Other things are metaphorically a fight, but they're not really a fight. I mean, if you get anesthetized to actual fighting, how much easier is it? Oh, the fight of going to the DMV. Who gives a shit about the DMV? You know what I mean? You had somebody laying on you trying to collapse your carotid artery, and you found comfort in that. So now you have a pain in the butt. You got to go to the DMV, but that shit ain't a fight, man. Once you know what real fighting is, and that's me saying it as a martial artist, not even as somebody that's in the military, who you take that word fight even further towards reality. So it truly is. It's a monumental part of my life and my family's life.
So you've chosen a couple of films, and so you've had Attack on VA-33, right, which came out, and if I'm not mistaken, there's another movie, and maybe my timeline's off. American Fighter, that's coming out, right? Or has it come out? American Fighter?
We filmed that 3 years ago.
No way.
I want to say it came out in Europe, everywhere, 2 years ago. I think now, with Born a Champion, they're kind of re-releasing some things, and so it happens like that. That's the same thing with Attack on VA33. Mm-hmm. They kind of piggybacked that onto Born a Champion, which I'm flattered if it makes people want to see something else I've done, But American Fighter is actually an older film than Born a Champion. We shot that a year before Born a Champion.
So how are you choosing your movies? I mean, thematically, so you've got these fight videos, and you've got being a veteran, which I love. A lot of us love. I mean, how are you picking it? Some people pick all romances, or they get typecasted. For you, I mean, is that how you decide on a role, or is the script mailed to you and said, "Hey, out of these 5 scripts, I want this one. It's martial arts," or how are you picking?
I'll show you a little wizard behind the curtain.
Okay.
And I've been in this business 30 years. Mm-hmm. There's 3 and only 3 reasons people do movies. If Scorsese called and said, "Hey, Flanery, I got a new movie. I'm going to direct it. I can't pay you. I can pay you 50 cents for the entire year," I would say yes. It's Martin Scorsese. I don't do more than Scorsese movies. I do small movies. You do it for amazing people that would elevate you or give you an opportunity to do something you've never done before, or you do amazing material. If you read a script that blows your mind, you really will still do it, even if they cast people you've never heard of, if it's directed by somebody you've never heard of, and even if they pay you nothing. So the material, the script, or people, or money. That's it. Those 3. And you're blown away if you get 2 out of the 3. I've never had 3 out of the 3. It's the people that get 3 out of the 3 are, the Brad Pitts in the world. They still get $20 million. They still get Scorsese, and the whole rest of the cast is, you know what I mean? But that's not me. It's
yeah, but dude,
in answer to your question. Yeah,
go ahead.
I do films for multiple reasons. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, I so love the craft. I only do things that are true to my heart." Bullshit. I've done crap for money before. I hate to tell everybody, but I have. There are things that are coming out sometimes, and I'm like, ugh. Now, having said that, I try to start off with every script that I feel like there's something there. But having said that, in the creative process, there's so many variables going to make it a good film. A lot of times something falls through the cracks, and it ends up being absolute drivel. And you're mortified when something like that comes out. But usually, I at this point in my career, I want to do things that I'm proud of and things that I would like to see. When I read a script, I'm like, would I like to see that? Yeah, I'd see that. Then I will do it. But those are the 3 things: people, material, or money. Everybody out there, everybody else is going to tell you they only operate on material. I'm very selective of fuck off. They show up with a Brinks truck. You'll do absolute drivel.
But you've had a long run, man. I mean, 30 years, 3 decades. So I mean, when you look back, are you surprised at how long of a run you've had? I mean, there are some people like they're in a movie, never hear from them again. 2, 3 movies, gone.
Yeah, I am, but it's kind of funny. It's like I make friends everywhere I go, and I think being good is one aspect of longevity in acting, but also being somebody that people want to be around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding. 90% of the work that I've gotten in the last 10 years has been repeat business. Like, I did a movie with this producer. He called me again. He's like, "Brother, let's get together again. I got a great," it's repeat business. It's, and that's because I really like people. And, just like me, when I work with somebody and I like them, my antenna is always up for, "Oh my God, we should this actor," because I know they're going to be. Being easy on set is invaluable. I mean, I can't tell you how easy it is to waste money on something stupid like a 10-minute delay. A 10-minute delay is a lot of loot on a movie set. So just getting people with a modicum of professionalism in this industry is incredibly rare. And I'm talking about the primary things like showing up on time. that can kind of be a rarity. So when you meet people that are good, that can knock it out of the park, show up on time, and you actually want to sit next to them at lunch and chit chat, brother, take that to the bank and cash it.
So have you, been exposed to people who change your personality or helped you? I mean, so you get some guys, right? The prima donnas come in, cocksure, hot shot, whatever, bad attitude, and they just continue to be that guy. I mean, for you, did you change as you stayed in the industry, or have you always been this way? Pretty much a grounded person for the last 30 years.
Well, I think grounded is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I certainly think I'm grounded, but having said that, I've never met a person that didn't think they were grounded. So that kind of lets you reflect on yourself and say, I'm the same dude I was in high school, even in junior high. I mean, I was raised by a pretty strong-handed granddaddy and my dad. And if I ever wavered out of line, I'd get a metaphorical and real crack across the brow. It's just the way I was raised. And, there's a Texas upbringing, and I say the word Texas could exist anywhere, that you really don't see anymore. And I'm no shit when I tell you that there's some things my granddaddy did that would get me taken by social services in 2021, and they're things that are invaluable to me, things that really made me who I am. Some of the lessons that my dad and my granddaddy gave me would be frowned upon, severely frowned upon.
But you said something powerful, man. I mean, it was about legacy, right? And money. I mean, what's the quote that I've heard, which is really powerful for your kids?
Well, what you mean when people ask me about the film?
No, I'm talking about, you have a quote, something about how, I could leave my kids either a legacy or money, the ability to get things or buy things. But, for you, it's legacy, right?
Well, yeah, and the only thing immortal really is legacy. That's the only thing that's going to last. And, it's like my granddaddy used to tell me. He used to say, you can leave your kids stuff or you can leave them a work ethic, but you can rarely leave them both. And I don't care, there's a big reason that 80% of millionaires are first generation. There's a big reason. And it defies logic. It defies the math. I mean, if somebody's handed, millions of dollars, why can't they keep it? Because they're fat. Because if you get a Ferrari at 16 years old, what are you really shooting for? What's your goal? Why do you wake up in the morning and strive for more? And I use the Ferrari, not that I'm looking for a Ferrari or you are, but everybody has something that they're striving to achieve. And if all of your value, your perceived value, is given to you at 16, what are you really? Why are you not hitting the snooze button? It's in your driveway, And it's I had my first paper route when I was 8 years old, and you had to be 13 to get a paper route, and so I knocked on a dude's door. His name was Johnny McNamara, and he was 13. And I asked him, I said, hey, because I wanted a purple Nash skateboard. I remember it to the day. I wanted a Nash skateboard, and it was purple. My dad and granddad said, well, you got to get a job. So I realized you had to be 13 to throw papers. And so I knocked on his door, and I said, hey, man, if you sign up for this paper route, I'll throw them, and I'll give you 20%. And he talked to his parents, and he said, yeah. For 5 years, I threw papers, and I gave him 20%. And I'll guarantee you, I blew by him on life's financial straightaway somewhere 10, 15 years after that. But that's the difference. If my dad, that just tells you about his parents. If I walked in the house at 13 and said, hey, Dad, this guy's going to throw paper and give me 20%, my dad would have bitch smacked me and said, son, you ain't letting anybody do your gardening. You plant your own seeds and you grow your own crop. Get the fuck back out there and tell him you'll partner with him at 50-50 or you'll do it yourself. But the mere fact that his parents said, yeah, that's okay. And for 5 years, he took my loot.
Did you get that board? Did you get that board? Did you get the board?
Damn right I did, brother. You're damn right I did.
Nice.
And it had a little curved kicktail. And I remember when I got it, and the kicktail was curved, so the bottom of my shoe wouldn't sit flat. And I remember the first time I remember thinking, oh my God, this is what everybody's talking about, and it looks so cool in the picture. But really, when you get on it, you want a little bit of a more flat kicktail. But it's just, I'll never forget, man, Purple Nash skateboard, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So you do a lot of movies, a lot of characters. I mean, which character or which movie, in the character in there, do you relate to the most? Who's most like Sean? Is there anyone?
Well, the first one that I've ever written, top to bottom, that got produced and I got an opportunity to make it into a film, it would have to be that one. I have never been in the military, and it's a hole in my life. I come from a long line of military guys, my dad, my granddad, etc. But it would have to be Born a Champion. It's the character, the integrity, the virtue. It's the faith, the family, the life, the fatherhood, the legacy, the love. It's all of those things that I tried to throw into a script, and truth be told, I'm surprised they let me make it. Maybe I snuck them in there under the radar, but I'd have to say that's more of the profound elements of my life than any other role I've ever done, and I'm grateful they gave me an opportunity to make it.
I think you did a great job translating it to the military community, or just all those communities. There's a lot of intersection, right? You got the martial arts community, the military, the couple, right? The family, the business side, practical business. Is this the right thing to do? And I think you did a fantastic job. And I mean, for me, and I'm not going to say I cried because I'm not that kind of dude, but hey, man, that the moment where you're crazy about that girl, your future wife, that hit me. My buddy told me when you won in the scene, he actually cried. He said he watched it with his entire family. They were crying. It was like the Rocky movie. It was John Valentine, right? He said he loved that movie. And I think a lot of us watch it and say, this dude got it. Sean got it. I think you just pulled it all together and just honored those things that are most important to you that are also most important to us. And that is really strong traditional values, good work ethic, not being a coward, being brave, waking up every morning, facing difficulty of how do you provide for your family and the things you have to go through, the sacrifices you make. So those are all very, very profound concepts. It's not, showy movie. It's not a flashy movie at all. Like a lot of the Van Dammes. Hey, let me show you in here how high I can kick. Oh, I can do the splits in this movie, right?
Yeah.
It's not practical.
Well, brother, I mean, especially coming from somebody like you, I appreciate it. But, that's what, you dance with the one that brought you. And those are the values that got me where I am today. Those are the values that created me. And I'm not flying a flag for any other reason than that's the shit that I believe in. And, simple things like, he falls in love with the girl. Her name is Layla. And really, you see the moment that he falls in love with her. And he says, what about you? What's your goal? What do you want to do? She said, I want to be a stay-at-home mom after I find my husband, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's, my wife's name is Lauren, and we were dating. And, being in LA, you think everybody in LA is just, so you think, maybe it'll be temporary or whatever. And we had a talk, and she said, you're expecting to hear, well, my goal is to be, something in Hollywood, some aspect of fame. I mean, I'll tell you, like most people in LA, they have a goal of being either an actor, a singer, really the only common denominator is fame. But if you're passionate about singing, it should be singing and that's it. Not acting, singing, spokesmodel, model, anything. And I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to be a mom. And I kind of, she said, what do you mean you want to be a mom? She's like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a mom. And brother, it kind of hit me in the chest with a cannonball, brother. And I immediately, it took a completely different turn. And, I said, well, what, in LA, do you, what do you think about, nannies? And she goes, no, just no nanny would ever raise my kid. And I just thought,
that's awesome.
This is somebody that I would never expect to find in Los Angeles. And from that moment on, she became this rare, wondrous jewel that I never thought I would find in LA. And those words came out of her mouth, and I realized this is different, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I thought I'd have to leave the entire state to find somebody. And, she's from South Carolina. She's cut from the same cloth.
Hey, there you go, man.
And immediately she was, when we talked about having kids, and I interviewed her. I asked her every single thing about motherhood. When it came time, we're like, well, what do you think? When I realized, okay, this girl is really cut from the same cloth. We think a lot alike. Okay, what do you think about homeschooling? What do you think about corporal punishment? What do you think about teaching your kid finances, sole responsibility? What do you think about discipline? All of it. I mean, I interviewed her. So there's nothing left to chance.
Yeah.
When you have a child and you're like, well, what are we going to do here? We already knew. We already discussed it. And pretty much everything down the line, I was like, have you been, closed circuit TV in my whole life? Because it sounds like it almost sounded like she'd been coached, to tell me the right things. But, and that's why it's in the movie, because that was the line that, some scripted Hollywood line. It was something so base as to just, and it stunned me, man. It took my breath away when I heard that. I thought, I'm done.
That's great. I've always said that writers write and painters paint. And basically, you have to go and do what you need to do. I mean, if they lock you in prison and take away your paintbrushes, you're going to find a way to paint.
Yeah.
And they take away your pen, you're going to have to find a way to write. And it's a passion. But did you at any time have your doubts and say, I'm out of here. Let's pack up our suitcases, get out of LA, man. Let's just leave it back there. I mean, did you have doubts about your own ability to provide, or your doubts about the people you wanted to fraternize with, or that were going to affect your children? The culture itself seems very shallow. And that's what we see because, I'm not in Hollywood and I don't know, but it's perception.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I always make fun of I always joke with my buddies. I say, absolutely. If you're single, go to LA. Once you found what you came for, get the fuck out. And that's what I did with my life. I went out there as a single dude. I found what I was looking for, and we both decided bug out. Neither one of us ever had any inclination to raise kids in LA. Neither one of us. And that was part of the conversation. She's like, I would never do that. And she said that with full knowledge that I may go, whoa, I'm never leaving LA, and the relationship would be over. But she was confident enough and secure in her own decision to say I would never even consider it. And I thought, wow. This is a different human being. I mean, absolutely. It's you think about those things. And at the end of the day, if your kids don't take precedence over every other aspect of your life, I think you need to recalibrate a little bit. As much as I love the industry, if raising them correctly and authentically means I have to move out, absolutely I will. Now, it just so happened that it coincided with a time where the internet took over. A lot of meetings are done by Zoom. I mean, we left in 2015, so we were kind of way early adopters before people started leaving, and it really turned out well. I mean, I made Mickey Kelly Born a Champion after I left LA. So a lot of these things happened after I bugged out. Speaking of which, the title. I never wrote that title, Born a Champion.
Okay.
The studio did. And this is the difference between creators and marketers. Born a Champion could not be more inverse to this film's message than anything. As a matter of fact, the whole script is about no one is born a champion. And regardless of what you're born with enough perseverance, you can become a champion in your chosen trophy arena. But they chose to name it Born a Champion. And it's just another little funny story. When the first time I heard it, I'm like, you can't, did you see the film that I made and you want to call it Born a Champion? Anyway, not to sidestep out of that, but I always found that a little bit amusing. But LA was never a final destination for us at all.
So what's a routine for you? I mean, what motivates you to get up in the morning? Is it family? Is it your faith? What drives you to be a better person, better human being?
We often talk about family and faith
Mhm.
as two separate things, at least in my mind, I can't separate them. They're
That's
one and the
profound.
same.
Yeah.
I don't know where in the English language we thought, well, some men are driven by their family and others by faith. They are inseparable. They are intertwined. I truly, without sounding too nonsensical, I see religion when I look in my kids' eyes. Whatever you thought you didn't believe in, I promise you, you will believe in it when you look into your child's eyes. And you will never see your wife more clearly than when she lays with child. You never will. Mother Nature is the reigning, the defending. She is the national, worldly, global, universal, reigning, undefeated champion. And that bitch is relentless. And to try and argue that or to see it a different way, family will, if you aren't, it will root you. At least it has done that to me. Now, a large part of that, I think, is timing. I was at a place in my life when I could really properly manage all of that and family. But sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it'll make you believe in God, brother. It will.
That's fantastic. No, I was talking to Matt Little, my special forces buddy, last night, and we were talking about, goals and such. And I think a lot of people treat family as an external. They're separate from themselves. It's just a person. And if we're going to be crude about it, a wife is just a blow-up doll. It's just a thing. And if we talk about it in a godly sense, it's ourselves. It's, we're so intersected with their own being that we're one, right? But that's me, and that might be you. But I think a lot of people fail in that they see things as just objects, things that enhance their life. And it's just there outside. For me, family and God and all of it's wrapped in one. I mean, I suppose, is that kind of what you're trying to say?
100%. And in full disclosure, I will say that I was one of those dudes. I did see a lot of blow-up dolls out there. Mm-hmm. But until you make that turn and you see that, wow, that can become something different, it is a profundity, to say the least. And even as easy as it is to say, you see yourself and you see religion in your child's eyes, mm-hmm. you also see it in your wife's eyes, who bloodline has nothing to do with you. Yeah. Although you created something with your combined bloodline, your wife becomes a part of you. And it family, and it would have sounded like a Hallmark card, 30 years ago to me. Mm-hmm. I would have listened to this and thought, it's just so esoteric bullshit. But it is true. Mm-hmm. It truly is. Like to say family is what gets me up every morning. It's my motivating factor. Without question, it is. And there's not a second place. It's the only purpose for my being anymore. That's it. Everything is family. It's the reason I do every single thing in my day and my night.
I'll tell you, I watched my wife washing the dishes the other day, and I just said, that's my girl. And I realized that, anything I do affects her, and anything she does affects me. And so it's through that decision-making process. You can't just go out and shoot drugs up. You can't just go eat what you want all the time. You can't just go spend 50 grand. You have to think about it and say, anything I do affects that person who is my one. And that's the way I see it. She is my one, and it is. So we're the same person. You can't really separate that, but I think some people do. And so it's kind of like, before I do anything, I stop and say, what's she going to think? And not because I'm a slave to her, not because somehow she's the boss. And, these jokes that we make, she wears the pants in the family, because it's not like that, not in my household. But that this person moves me so much. And like you, she's your one. And that's just awesome, dude. And I'm glad to hear that for you.
Yeah, I mean,
now your kids. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I do think you have to turn that corner and make that decision. It's like, mm-hmm. I truly believe the most important thing any man will do is choose who he procreates with, bar none. And I think, the courtship process with a lot of guys is shit, nice tits. That's it.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? And I think that can be a bad thing. It's like, when I tell that story about how I kind of interrogated my wife when it got serious, I interviewed her. Like, no shit. But I needed to know if we were going to have kids and it got serious, how are we going to raise them? When you think conversely, a lot of people have kids because, hey, I got a jacuzzi and a six-pack, and the next thing you know, they're parents. And you could have completely opposing religious views, political views, ideology on how you view the family. You could have a completely different view on relationship, on monogamy, on polygamy, on anything. And I think that choice needs to be considered. It is the most important choice any man or woman will make. And it's who they choose to procreate with. If that was taken a little more seriously, I think, the divorce rate would go way down, and kids out there with single parent households would go way down.
I see a lot of involvement with you and your kids, man. I mean, your kids, got a great picture like this, and they're just doing everything their daddy's doing. How did that begin? Because a lot of kids, they want to be around mama and daddy, and they want to be just like them. So how is it for your sons?
The truth is we do everything together. I mean, my wife and my kids are, if my wife's not in the picture, it's because she was taking the picture. She's there kind of through everything. It's, my wife started training jujitsu just to be with the family and partake. And she's not a martial arts girl at all. But it's just, because, we always make a joke. My kids are never going to know that every kid doesn't spend 24/7 with their parents until they're older and they go, whoa, oh, okay. So you went to a boarding school. Wow, what was that? It'll be foreign to them. But this is the way that we choose to live our lives. Mm-hmm. But it's family really does mean team sport in every regard. Football is a team sport. If you don't have 11 men, you're going to get a penalty. There's going to be a flag on the play. And that's the way we look at this. It's everything we do together. And we do it not to prove a point or to show anybody. We're not clocking in. I've assembled 4 members here that truly want to do everything together. And I really wouldn't have it any other way. I do. I want my kids at everything. I don't want to miss a swim team practice, a wrestling practice, a jiu-jitsu class, a football practice. I don't want to miss any of that, and I haven't. And I know inevitably there'll be times that I can't make it for something. But that's the joy of my life, is seeing my family together and discussing, the highs, the lows, and teaching them to navigate life through what shaped me, athletic fields and athletic rooms. And just the whole family environment. Like my mama and my granddaddy and my mom and my dad were at every sporting event I ever had. And I didn't know that was weird until later. When you start talking, you're like, you know what? I've never seen your mom. Where's your mom? They're like, oh, and you realize that some kids don't have moms or their mom. And that just seems like such an outlandish science fiction movie. The first time somebody says, oh yeah, well my mom, she left when I was a kid. You left. She went to the grocery store. Where'd she go? And then you realize, oh no, she left and she never came back. And it's like, I just thought that doesn't make sense in my world.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to make sense in my kids' world. I want that to be the outlier and the anomaly. I don't want, some kids when they go, whoa, you have 2 parents? That's crazy, weird. So they've been married the whole time? And that's a shocker. It shouldn't be a shocker,
You're a pretty creative person, man. I mean, you do acting. You're a writer. You've written a book. You did a script, and you're an entrepreneur, man. I mean, is there anything that you do that it's pretty creative? I mean, or do you paint when you're having a bad day away from your family? I mean, me, I'd get on my Harley and go right up the coast. That's what I do. Go up and down the California coast, Santa Cruz. Get my head clear. What do you do to get your head clear when you're in a bad place? You write? You paint?
That's the jiu-jitsu mat, man.
Okay, still really is. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's like I've always been really envious of those dudes that can walk into a room and there's a party and their buddy has a piano and they just sit down and I've always been envious of I ain't that dude.
Me too.
I've been envious of the dude that, he sits down, you're doing notes in a meeting and the dude's just dwiddling and then you realize it's a fucking Rembrandt.
Yeah.
I've never been that dude. I can't draw. I can't play music. The dude that picks up a guitar and he's just like, oh yeah, I learned this in my spare time and he's playing, some amazing piece. I'm not that dude. It's always been, my reset has always been through physical exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
If I can put myself there, it's a recalibration. It's a and a reset. And I wish I had less taxing way to do it. I wish I could, go to some zone and get creative or what. But, most of my best thinking is when I'm mounted and trying to get out of a bad position. I know that sounds bizarre, but that's where I'm most creative, where my brain is free, where I'm, entangled and I can feel a cervical lock coming on and I can't even turn my neck in a way to relieve it. That, sitting wringing wet on the wall mats in my academy is where I do my best thinking.
That's awesome, dude. So let me ask you, man, is there anything anybody misunderstands about you? I mean, we see you on screen. We all get this idea of, Brad Pitt's like this and this dude's like this. I mean, how about you? What do people misunderstand about you? When they meet the real Sean.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty upfront. A lot of people, and I think, there are a lot of people that are probably misunderstood because, some people have people send me social media message and they're like, hey, I'm not sure if I'm talking to Sean. Who the fuck else would you be talking to? I mean, like I have some social media manager. I you know what I mean? I don't have anybody writing my shit. It's like, if it's out there, I wrote it. If I took a photo and posted it, that's the shit we were really doing. It's, you know what I mean? I don't use social media for any tool to create a persona that's more appealing. As a matter of fact, all the shit I put out there tends to make me more and more ostracized. Being as old as I am, I just don't give a fuck anymore. At least I'm going to be true to myself. And some people are going to go right the fuck on, and other people are going to be going, shame on you. But at least I'm being honest. It is who I am. And it's
dude, I think it's great because I look at some of the, I go to some pages on Instagram and I like him. I'm like, freaking Sean's been here before me, man. Like you liking it too. I'm like, yeah, we're kind of thick as thieves in some things, and I love that, man. So I say, so this guy's putting it out there. He doesn't care, and that's great. You're not doing like some people. They're like this on screen, and you're the real deal for me. But when did you realize that you had a passion for what you're doing with acting or with BJJ? I mean, did a light bulb go off with acting, or with acting? Did you even feel a passion for it? Is it just something like to make a paycheck? Or do you really feel like this is, No,
I do. I love the creative process of acting. I absolutely adore it. I don't think that you can go 30 years as I have if you don't really love it. I'm just saying that my passion train is bifurcated. It's martial arts, and I love acting too. But when you compare the two, martial arts is comfortably in the lead. And I say that with all the love in the world because I do love acting too. But I was going to University of St. Thomas here in Houston, and I'd always loved acting. When you're in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you do a play and you sit around in a circle, the chairs are in a circle, and they're like, okay, Mikey, you read the role of Timmy. Susan, you read the role of Jennifer. And I was like, ooh, I like this. I like kind of making it real. Everybody else would be like, I really like this chocolate ice cream cone. And I'd be like, I really like this chocolate ice cream cone. I just enjoyed kind of bringing this guy to life. And really, that's not how they would say it. You'd say it like this in a very rudimentary level. I knew, wow, this would be fun to do, when they do plays. It'd be fun to do that. Having said that, in high school, everybody in my high school drama department was a fucking Fruit Loop. It wasn't about acting at all. It was about being weird in this little weird clique, and dudes were capes. And this is not about acting at all. It's just y'all's group of people that want to, they only listen to a certain type of music. And it was bizarre. It was really bizarre. Well, at University of St. Thomas, I saw at the time a a beautiful, beautiful girl leaving this building every Monday morning. So I did what any red-blooded Texan does. He drops an English class and he signs up for whatever the fuck they teach in that building. And it was the theater department. And so I signed up for this theater class. And that was the first time in my life that I realized, no, these people, this is about acting. I mean, there was a physics major there. There was a psychology major. There was a political science major. It was all different walks of life. And it was really about acting. And so I started acting, and that I fell in love with it. I thought, holy shit, this is the first time it's not about some other, people that love music, or people that love eyeliner or weird wardrobe. It was those nerds, those athletes in it. Fell in love with it. And so I wrote a piece of children's theater, and I said, whenever I finish college, I'm going to drive out to LA. I'm going to save my money. I'm going to produce this play. So I really moved out to LA to be a writer. Mm-hmm. And it was because of that girl that made me realize there is an arena where it is about acting. And as soon as I got out there, I fell in love with it. Doing it on screen as opposed to stage. A lot of people say, oh, the real acting is on stage. I can't tell you how wrong that is. There's very little that's real about projecting an intimate conversation enough that the 90th row can hear it. Film, in my opinion, is the realest medium for understandable to reality acting. And I fell in love with it, man. I love bringing characters to life and picking out and selecting nuances and, without getting too weird and cerebral, because I'm the least method dude out there. I mean, I'm the dude that, like, you can put me in the media scene. They call cut, and let's get a pizza later. I heard this. Wait a minute, action. Blah, 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 right back into character, cut. So anyway, that pizza, and I love it as a technical task. Mm-hmm. I love it as an emotional task. I love it in all those areas. I mean, it really moves me. Just not as much as martial arts.
So, deathbed proclamation, man. I mean, we all give a part of ourselves to the world. Each of us, we have something. You're on your deathbed. What would you tell people? Find a mentor. Follow your dreams. Some platitudes. What would you say, man? This is your last final minute. If you want to give something to our audience, what would it be? Well, to make people more whole.
Well, this is just it. Mm-hmm. For those people, I've already told them, and I'm telling them every day. It's like I tell people all the time. It's like, love your family so hard that you're too busy loving them hard to post about how fucking hard you love them on social media. It's, my daily life is prepping for that. It's like, being a dad, it's like there's very little my kids can break that I can't put back together. The unfortunate thing is I'm not going to be around forever to put them back together. So I got to teach them how to put them back together on their own to do what I used to do for them. And I would say, as long as you get out of that myopic view of youth, you'll flourish. Because I myself was an incredibly selfish dude as a youngster. It was, even in martial arts, the first half of my martial arts career was all about this. It was about this. I mean, people would ask me, Flanery, show me that arm lock that you hit on me. Oh, yeah, after class. After class, fuck off. I'm out the door. It's not about them. It's about me. Yeah. The second half of my career is about this. It's about giving back. And those two different characters are miles apart. I before I would say anything to anybody on a deathbed, I think there's so many different opinions out there. Some people would vomit from what I'd say. Other people would hug their family from what I'd say. I think the truth is, a lot of the things that my granddaddy taught me, I've already stuck them in my kids. I have. And it'll make some people really, really angry. But I don't care. The people whose ears I want to fill with my words, they've already heard them.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, let's go on to how people can find you. They can find you on Instagram as SPF, right? At Sean Patrick Flash, right down there in the freaking byline here, down at the bottom of the screen. So you've got a book, right? Jane 2. don't kick my ass for not reading the book yet, but I gotta get. Is it on ebook form? Because I do want to read that book, man.
Yeah, so, it's you can get it in any form. It's okay. Barnes and Noble, Apple. I also I narrated the audiobook. So
I didn't know that. All right, I'm gonna have to check that sucker out because I've been meaning to read that thing.
Yeah, but of all the people, like I think I've told you before, I mean, your writing is some of the best writing on Instagram, bar none. Some of the most insightful, provocative prose. And I don't say that to stroke you. It's the truth.
No, thank you, man. That comes from a lot of battles. Yeah,
every piece I read is profound. It's insightful, and they're pretty rare insights. So I'd be tickled and flattered as shit to hear what you think about it.
All right, bro. I'm going to have you on again, and we're all going to talk about the book. So I've got 2 other books I've got to read. You're on the list. I definitely am going to read that freaking book because it's you're a fascinating guy, man. You fight. You have a family. You're out making movies. You're right, dude. You're living it, and you didn't use that to paper up the windows or anything like that, or
For anybody out there, give this a read.
Thanks, man. All right. Thanks, Sean. Well, listen, we're going to sign off now. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the broadcast, but let's talk for about 5 minutes. And again, hey, guys, check out Sean. He is the real deal, man. Loved his movie. Got a VA-33, Attack on VA-33, American Fighter, another one. And one of my favorites, Born a Champion. Love that movie. Watch it twice and going to watch it again this weekend. So check him out. All right, Sean. Thanks, Ben. I'll be right with you.
Anytime, brother.